All right. Hopefully everything's all working. I'm going to get everything set up here real quick, let people join on in, and then we will start talking about Houdini 22, the sneak peek. I am quite pumped. Guys, a link in the description as well. If you guys have not looked at it, you guys can take a look there. Give me a moment here while I get this all set up. Hate the new interface. It's a skin. You can turn it off, I believe, at least in 22. It's also extremely customizable. At least it should be. From the sounds of it, it is. Hopefully I got the whole thing downloaded here. I was trying to download it. I missed the very start of it, I believe, here on the download. It didn't want to download that part for some reason. Give it a couple minutes to let people join on up. We'll talk about it. We're going to take a deeper look at everything. We're going to kind of go a little slow and just look through all the news, or at least most of the new stuff. Love all the new stuff. Yeah, there's a lot. I probably missed some stuff. I was here for like the first hour of the presentation, and then after that first hour I had to jump out, went and took my son to go see his first movie, Toy Story 5, which was pretty good, but I probably missed some things just from that. Sorry, I'm just making sure getting everything set up. Really looking forward to the trains inside Cops. It does look pretty good. Um, I am curious to see how much is actually there. There's some things that I think that they definitely need to include that I'm not sure that are there yet. Okay, well that didn't work. Just can't wait for H23 in a real-time viewport. I don't know if that'll come in Houdini 23, but that is definitely something that will be super cool to have. All right. I believe I've got everything set up now. Hopefully. What's up, Alex? Mandy, what's up? All right. So we'll kind of go through this. I'm going to not skip, but I'm going to kind of jump through some of the first part of this because I want to focus kind of on it's a long presentation, and I don't think we're going to sit here and go through every little thing. And so I'm going to probably skip over somewhat or kind of skim over some of the starting part. There's a significant amount of stuff on Apex and rigging and animation, which is not really something that I have focused on and is super overwhelming. But there's some really cool stuff in there too. So there's some stuff that if I was an animator, that I would be pretty pumped about, I think. So we'll take a quick look at some of that stuff, and then we're going to kind of move on, and we can come back to that at the end if we need to. So just kind of going through here, the first thing that they talk about is the UI. You guys are either going to hate it or you're going to love it. Lots of changes to this, but one of the cool things I think that has come out of this, I guess this is kind of the first little sneak peek out of it, which is the new theme interface, which is pretty sweet. So basically, I think my understanding of this is it's a skin, and you're going to be able to customize pretty much everything about your UI, which is awesome. You know, it's something that you could do before, but it was a lot more complex than what this is going to show. So there's also this new interface when you first start up, which this new little start screen, which is more like interactive, which it looks like. Let's see. Okay, so it just says that this is the first step here. Let me just recenter that. You can paste relative multi-parms. That's interesting. Joy effects. Been seeing you go through that. Lots of people have been tackling that recently. So starting off here, it looks like we've got just some choices to kind of start off with. And then the normal usage statistics. And then this new like recent files and stuff, which is super convenient to have. I'm surprised it took them a while to get through this. But good to see that this is, and they're going to be able to like change this, it sounds like, and kind of do that on the fly, which is a little bit more interactive, I guess, than what we've had before. I don't know if we're supposed to say. Someone said it in the chat is when it's going to be released. I don't know if that's accurate. I'm not going to spread any misinformation, but I don't think they said it at the end. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they said it at the end. I was trying to watch this while also trying to not miss anything at the movie theater and stuff. So I was definitely missing stuff. My captions failed. But yeah, so this is the start of the new UI. And right away, I don't know what your guys' first impression of the UI is. There's a lot kind of here. It's my first thought upon seeing this. My very first thought was this looks a lot like Cinema 4D. So this is just kind of what it looks like now. There's also this has gotten a rework. This scene graph tree. This is like it downloaded in not great quality. That's unfortunate. I wonder if I can. I was having issues getting this to re-download. Let me see if I can get this to re-download actually real quick, because that doesn't look like it's in very good quality. Sorry, I literally just got home just a few minutes ago and decided to hop on here. Hopefully this doesn't tank the stream as I try to do this. Sorry, give me a moment here. Should have been more prepared. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna just skip it, but this might tank my stream here for just a minute. I apologize if that's the case, but it looks like it's going pretty quick. What are you guys most excited about from what you guys have seen so far? Hopefully the new interface exposes us, increases the data availability via HOM. Recently tried to do some custom geo spreadsheet views and data manipulation. I don't know anything about that. I haven't messed with the HOM at all. Yeah, the 2D, 3D workflows in COPS it's just so good. Uh-oh. Well, I tried to do that. I'm gonna have to try that, I think. May tank the stream again here for a minute. Hopefully not. I apologize again for this. Didn't think I was gonna have to do this. I was trying to download the stream while it was premiering, so I think that it missed some stuff and didn't download the highest quality. Yeah, the geo spreadsheet and what they showed in the sneak peek looked like it had gotten a big update. Where were we here? Okay, yeah, this is a lot better quality now. Make sure I got everything set up properly again. All right, I apologize for that, but we should be back to where we're at. A little bit better quality, at least on this. I don't even know if this is up on Vimeo or not. And Alex told me the Vimeo is higher quality, but we'll worry about that a different time. Anyway, so this is, I guess we're in the stage view here, but some updates to the way that this looks. This is just all around, just like a more clean, more up to date kind of like a view, in my opinion, for the UI. So I know that quite a few people have been hating it, but that's, I guess, something they're going to have to get used to, because I would imagine that this is something that's going to, stick around. And I think that this is, or it's going to become something that's not so much of a skin as like it's going to be something that is just going to be like the default, and you're not going to be able to change like back. This is the edit theme interface. If you missed this, pretty interesting. You can change basically everything. So once you click on these, this is really cool that you have the ability to basically just make it exactly how you want. Um, just really control. You have so much control over really everything here. It's so nice. Like I'm so excited to be able to just do this directly inside of Houdini. Not have to dive into some weird files and stuff to do anything. There's also this new preferences. You can search the preferences now, which I swear I thought you could do before, but I guess not. The adjacency stuff and wrinkle things are super sick. The adjacency thing is one of the things I'm really, really excited for. Gaussian splats, lots of stuff with the Gaussian splats. I haven't messed with those at all, but I'm excited to give them a shot and play around with them. You can make them from your own scenes and images and whatever. Now, I don't know if they said, I was a little bit confused. I haven't really done anything with the Gaussian splats, but I think you had to do something with they said a COL map, and I don't know if we can like generate that ourselves or not inside of 22, but we'll figure it all out. So this is something that is new too. That's pretty sweet. You can just hover over things and you get some of the help docs. I know there was some complaining about how long this takes. So hopefully how long the help docs like take to like pull up and some freezing and stuff. So hopefully this is resolved with this, but this is pretty sweet that you get a nice little like preview. I wonder if there's going to be quite a bit of difference in the help docs. I wonder if they've made like a bunch of changes. Very, very cool that you get all of this stuff just directly in there. Some good like visualization, especially from the rendering side of things. CoalMap, from what I'm told, comes from third-party software and helps you make G-splats. Gotcha. If you train splats on your scenes, you won't need it. Oh, okay. So it's like okay, camera positions. Gotcha. This is awesome. This is one of the things I'm really excited about, actually. This is the new like color picker pane. So you can grab colors from the user interface, which you could before. You could do it from outside of Houdini, I believe. It's just a little bit smoother, and they've got like way more customizability and like color swatches and everything. You can do the color harmony. This is awesome. Really, really excited to have all that. You can blend between swatches. You just drag and drop. It's nice. It's all very, very nice. This looks so much better. Looks like it's way more enjoyable to work with. Also, these new gradients, we can make our own gradients now and just have them saved to like a file on disk somewhere, I'm assuming. Just have it like a gallery pulled up. Super, super awesome. You get like nice little previews of what they look like too. This is the presets thing too. So looks like that's going to come with your typical ones that we've had in Houdini for forever, and then you can make your own and save them as well. And they have the ability to do this adaptive kind of like sampling of them. That's super, super nice. I love that. You missed the keynote. Was there any talk about new terrain workflows for Unreal? There is not necessarily specifically about Unreal, but all of the terrain stuff has been moved into Cops, and there's some new tools and stuff which are going to be super, super sweet to take a look at. Looks like it runs a lot faster. So this is where all of like the KineFX stuff starts to take over. And I am probably going to jump through kind of most of this. This is the animated, G-splat, or the animate it later, I guess. Lots of very cool animation stuff. You get to see more of the UI here, which is pretty cool. But I'm going to kind of skip through a lot of this just because I haven't messed with really any of the KineFX stuff. There's some really nice stuff in here. if you are somebody that does mess around with it. Retargeting and stuff, which we've had. Um, I don't even remember what all was in this. It's just so much information to take in. This was pretty cool though. You can merge your different like rigs from different places, and then like this one's a Mixmo rig, and then you can have them. Well, I forget the term that they use, but you can have them kind of like blend together and kind of work together, which is pretty sweet. A lot of stuff that comes in Houdini that would be like a little bit more work to set up or to like do in other software, that'd be a lot more manual work. So I think that's something that they're really doing a good job at, is showing or like creating tools that just give you stuff kind of for free. Can change the navigation buttons on mouse now? That's a good question. Not sure. Fascinated by all the hard work. So many new features and technology. Yeah, it's always there's so much, and this was not even everything was shown in this presentation. Like there's a lot of stuff that wasn't shown in this presentation, as always. This was super cool. I don't know who made this, but this is an awesome creature. And look at these wings. All right. If you don't know, wings are one of the harder things to do when they fold. They're incredibly hard to get to not intersect when they fold, and they did a really good job of getting them to play nicely. Yeah, we're gonna take a look at the feature scroll. This model and rig is so cool, and they've got it like it shows off some of the new stuff. There's some really cool stuff. I didn't really mess with like grooms yet either, but there's some really awesome stuff for like grooms in here too, and just so much to go over. This was really awesome. I really like this is like their facial rig with a wrinkle deformer put into here, showing also some new UI stuff, I believe, from the Apex side of things. But you get all this kind of like wrinkle stuff for free, which is just so good. Like these wrinkles look really, really good. Very nice. And you get some more stuff with animation. So like this is procedural, but you can still, or like this is hand keyframed, I believe. And then you can like, it's still got some like procedural elements onto it. So you can still kind of control things. Can't wait for all the ape works in the future. Yeah, the first thing I thought was Planet of the Apes. They talk about, I forget what this is called. I'm really drawing a blank right now. The like keyframe locking, set driven keyframes. That's what it's called. Definitely seeing Apex and KineFX. I'm getting the desire to learn. Yeah, I see all this stuff. First of all, there's been a ton of things in the keynotes for the last, not just the keynotes, but the the updates for the last few years, where they've done a lot with Apex and KineFX and just animation. They've made so many new tools and stuff that it's been like this. There was like an hour of the presentation that was just on like animation stuff in this one, and I feel like it was the same way for like the last 4 versions. I don't remember when it started, but like Houdini 20 or something like that, when they put in, Apex, it was just ever since then they've just had a huge section every year on animation, and I think they're doing a great job. Some new debugging stuff inside of Apex. This, you can like see this in the viewport or something. I don't know. I was half paying attention when I saw this. So you can see the values, I guess. Maybe not in the viewport. There you go. Okay. Yeah, you just hover over the inputs. Okay. That makes more sense. I can see it burying Maya in the future. Yeah, for sure. Like I would not want to be Maya right now. This they talk about Tumblehead. So Tumblehead did this animation, I believe, all this stuff, and they built a bunch of like custom tools and stuff for this, but looks super cool. I really like I really like this that specific part where they make all these eyeballs and then they get to just move around there, look at, and they all just follow them around. Something super simple, I'm sure, but it's just it, it looks so good. Sorry if you hear my kids screaming in the background, by the way. They're pretty hyper playing around today. This looks so good. They did a great job on this. And this is all, directly inside of Houdini now, which is super, super cool. If you're starting a studio right now, like, I don't know how you choose anything but Houdini. It's just good for everything. This is somewhat of a controversial thing. So you can hook in with an MCP server, you can hook in a AI. They said something about having something trained on Apex, and so like it knows how Apex works. And I feel like we're probably going to get some of this more in the future, some more of this type of a thing in the future. But I mean, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic about some stuff like this. We'll see how it goes. I haven't messed around with Apex at all, but I'd be interested to see how well of a job it does, or how good of a job it does on the actual like scripting components. And talk about this for quite a while. I don't really remember what this section was on. Lots of like animation, retargeting, flipping between things. Talk about flipping your IK chains so that you don't have things kind of snap into the wrong directions, or also purposefully breaking them. I don't know. I was only, like I said, half paying attention. Whoops. During this because I'm not a big animation person. I'm not gonna lie though, this animation, this motion mixer looks super, super sick. Like I haven't used this at all, but like every time I see this, it looks awesome. Like it looks so useful. Like they show a part where they mix between they're distracted by the hairy lizard butt. uh so where did they talk about, maybe that was it. No, I think it was with Electra. Yeah, here it is. Like this right here, where they just put different motion clips together and then have things snap and blend between them. You match their positions. This looks so freaking useful. Like, I don't think this is something that you can easily do. I could be wrong. Like I said, not an animator at all, but I don't think this is something that you can easily do in Maya. It's just like retarget like where your rigs are at so easily like that, and have it just kind of match your motion like that. And yeah, nested animation layers, basically pre-comps from After Effects. Super cool. We're gonna watch this animation because it's awesome. Such a good job on this. I think this was Sasha. So nice. Good sound design too. I'm gonna turn that on. Oh, maybe not. I thought they had the sound on this, but such a good animation. I love the material, the little cardboard materials and the little people. So good. This part I kind of blacked out during. I really even remember what they were talking about with this at all. So I'm going to kind of skip over this some more stuff about rigging. I don't want to skip too far. We got new cameras. This looked cool, actually. Hold on, let's. I don't think they got to the camera section, but you can retime your animations. Oh, this is the camera part. So they have the cameras, and you can like have locked cameras in your like Apex. There's also cameras in cops and SOPs as well. Where do they do the animation retiming? Again, I kind of missed part of this. I was also talking to everybody in Discord when this was kind of going on. Yeah, so we have the ability to retime in your animation editor now. So you can shift things around, you can kind of squash them. And this isn't just Apex either, right? This is just the animation editor in general. You can totally like retime stuff. You can see the keyframes kind of changing there. Or not the keyframes, but the like interpolation and stuff. Love all the new hair physics and stuff. Yeah, the fur and like the new guide stuff, the guide simulation stuff looks super, super nice. Looks like it runs a lot faster. So pretty cool stuff there. I feel like it was about this time that I had to jump out. Oh no, though this is oops, not move the clip. This was super cool. So we've got forces in Apex now. This looks awesome. Like again, not an animator, but dude, this is awesome. I'm just gonna play this for a minute. You have the ability to do this ragdoll stuff, right? And you can add a force, like a wind force, and have it affect your ragdoll. Like this is awesome. Yeah, the UI is gonna take some getting used to. But at least you can customize like all of it. It does look a lot like Cinema 4D just with the color schemes and stuff, but you can customize literally all of that. So, but this is just so cool, man. And I think there was a couple of different forces you could do. You can also change like where the force is kind of like being applied. The first thing I thought about with this, this specifically, I don't know if anyone else had this idea. There's these like kids toys that have like they're like a character on a like little wood block that has a button on the bottom that you can push, and then when you push it, they're like there's strings through each little body part, so it lets them like ragdoll, and then it kind of does like this motion of like falling over when you press it. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw this was those little toys. I feel like they showed this off before. I could be wrong, but I thought we had some like interaction with Apex and um, like simulations in the past. I could be wrong, but I swear I'd seen this before. Like this is just like talking about when they when the animation kind of start or when the simulation kind of takes over, I guess. It's cool stuff. Again, not a huge animator, but definitely something that I can see being super useful for those of you who are. I have no idea. I'm gonna turn down the volume because I think it was maybe a little bit loud. But I don't I don't even remember this. I think I had to jump out right about here. So let's just play through some of this. Yeah, all the stuff is in the same software. Super, super powerful. Everything's all linked. I totally missed this part. I think this is where I had to kind of like jump out of the stream. Okay, that's gonna sound annoying for you guys. Let me turn that off. This is, I believe, this is the animated Gaussian splat. So again, I'm gonna kind of. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. That looked kind of cool. Let me see that. Go land on Electra's forehead. Where'd that go? Very nice. I think that's an animated Gaussian splat, right? How rude. Just smack him off like that. Very cool stuff. So yeah, I missed this part for sure. ML stuff. We had some of this before. Looks like they probably just made some improvements to it. I'm gonna skip over this just because I haven't really seen it. I have no idea what they're really talking about since I missed it. That looks cool. I did see something about like the tissue sliding. I did catch a little bit of the groom stuff as well. So automatically picks kind of which groom, which like strands to simulate so that it can guide the groom, which is pretty cool. It seems like it works really well. You can also use attributes to like blend between things now. Yeah, I haven't messed around with grooms at all, but this stuff looks like it's pretty nice. There's also improvements to the way it handles like clumping and stuff, I believe. Very cool stuff. Like this looks pretty good. It's a good example of it working with different types of hair. And this seems like it's pretty quick from what they were talking about. All right. Capybara also comes with the capybara itself, a G splat of it, and it's got fur on it now, I believe. This was cool. Shot sculpt here. So notice they're using shot sculpt to kind of clean out some of these areas where the groom's kind of messing up. So they're working directly on to the geometry here. But at one point he switches to actually working on the groom instead and just sculpting the groom, which I think is super cool and would be super handy in certain situations. And then you can just switch back to the geometry super quick. This was an example of them, the hair switching, using attributes to get the like hair color to switch. More groom stuff. I only was partially there for some of that. I saw the way that this is handled. This is a procedural now. This is pretty cool. So the velocity blur is a lot more accurate now. Works a lot better. Not that motion blur in Solaris is an easy concept. someone needs to make it easier for everyone else, because there's a lot to that. But yeah, so there you can render as subdivision surfaces, and then the procedural will automatically, interpolate that right so that it puts it in the right spot and everything. Pretty nifty stuff there. I'll play this. These look so good, especially this monkey here, ape, whatever you want to call it. Groom looks really good. So they're just talking about how they simmed. This has got like millions and millions of hairs on it. They simmed, I think, 50,000 hairs or guides, and then that's driving all of this animation. And it looks like all the hair is being simulated. All right, so now we get into some of the fun stuff. So first thing I talked about with modeling in terrain was the new changes that they made to the quad remesher. And let's look here. So they're actually on the quad remesher here. It's got a new, let me pull up Houdini. Hold on. Let me just compare this to the current stuff. I always find it fun to just look between the nodes, like what you currently have versus what you had in the past, and see kind of how the UI and stuff has changed. It's always interesting, in my opinion. Just give me a second while I get Houdini opened. It looks like the quad remesher too is going to be a lot more accurate with hard surface meshes, or at least better, I guess I should say, with hard surface meshes. The edge loops and stuff kind of follow things a little bit better. Hopefully we get less of the, I talked about it with the sneak peek, I'm hoping to see less of the kind of like corkscrewing that happens. We get like hard edges instead of that just kind of following the topology around, if that makes sense. When is 22 coming out? I don't know that they said. It's going to be soon, though. It's not going to be like months away. I'm going to miss the toucan. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's just drop down a box, whatever, and then quad remesh. All right, so we can jump back and forth here. So this is, so they got rid of the symmetry, it looks like. And then we've just got, so this is what we've got before. So lots of changes here. So I got the curvature, the boundary, and the guides. Better, it looks like we may have some better control over the edge flow. Let's just play through. So they have in here a new mode, I thought they talked about. So this is just some of the examples. The circles, or like the cutouts looking really nice there. Yeah, I think they did a really good job on that animation. I think they've progressively done just a great job at making that a good tool set. But I just haven't played with it. Something I definitely need to get into. And does a decent job on the character here too. Saying how it matches quite a bit to what the model was actually modeled as. I thought they had a different mode. Oh, method. Yeah. Do they change that method at all? No, they don't. So there's a new method for how the quad remesh works. We don't have like any of that here. Maybe that's what this is, resolution mode. No, because it has the target quad count in there. So I'm not sure what this method is going to be. I guess it's kind of like how it interprets the model and creates the new mesh. This is pretty cool though. I'm excited to see this. We have the ability, I don't do much direct modeling inside of Houdini, but with the subdivision surfaces, by the way, I should have said this earlier. If you didn't catch it, the new viewport is improved, I guess. I guess it's not necessarily a new viewport. It's still the Vulkan viewport, but they've completely deprecated the OpenGL viewport, and there should be a lot of updates that have come to the Vulkan viewport, it looks like, and it looks like it's going to run a lot better. This is one of them. So we have a subdivision surface that we can actually see, the wireframe on and edit it on the actual mesh here without having to jump back and forth. We can just edit it directly on our mesh and see the results. This is a super, super handy change. I'm sure I'm sure we'll need the labs to reset viewport. I don't think that's gonna go away anytime soon. Uh, there'll always be some little issue that they just can't get rid of. This was a new labs tool that they were showing off. Not really sure what the point of showing that was, other than it's kind of a cool little tool. But this looks super, super cool. This is the new walk-on surface node. So you give it a surface, and it's going to, like, in a selection, and you can have it kind of grow up your mesh. So just looking at the UI here, looks like we've got some different controls for controlling how it works. But you can also drive it through an attribute, which is what this point velocity is going to be. This is super cool for some motion graphics type stuff, and they actually show this a couple of different times throughout this. Do one with cops as well. They show it like affecting stuff with cops. And then here's where they're driving it with like the attribute, which gets some cool little animations on. The first thing that I thought of with this was using this for like vines. Like you can grow vines kind of on on models and stuff, which is pretty cool. And they've actually got an example here where they show some de-intersection stuff as well. And I think that just was kind of like where that logically kind of heads. This is really cool. This is like cross-hatching. Little example here. But this is what I was talking about with the growth over the mesh, right? So we've got, think of it as like vines, but this obviously would be like a cable example, which is also, useful, but really like you see this a lot with like vines and stuff. So be interesting to play around with that tool. The curve animate, this doesn't seem all that interesting. Good for, some things, I guess, but not super interesting to me. Perfect for your Maya Temple Mardini project. Yeah. They're good for a lot of different situations. This is cool though. This like animating between the different shapes without any sort of overlap or anything like that. They show it with this on an actual like mesh, yeah, right here, which is pretty sweet. And then we get into some of the terrain stuff. So all of this has been moved to cops. Rotoscoping curves and nuke. Yeah, rotoscoping. Let's not do that. I don't miss the times where I had to do that. So all of this has been moved into COPS. There's a bunch of new tools with the stuff, the terrain tools moved into COPS. It is running faster, and there's also, like, we had the height field erode. There's a height field noise, which I wonder, this just says fractal noise, so it looks like maybe this is just the same fractal noise that we're used to. Yeah. And then we've got the height field erode here, which I personally hate. No offense, but it's so hard, in my opinion, to get good results out of this. And then this height field terrace node, which is new. And here you can see the result of it, which looks actually pretty decent. And then just our settings there. So you have recipes which place down default nodes like fractal noise, but their parameter ranges are set for, I gotcha, set for high fields. You hope they support high DPI screens with the new UI. There's UI scaling. If you're not scaling your UI, you probably should. Yeah, fractal noise, yeah, on a 1 kilometer train would do nothing. Height field slump. Okay, before we go any further, the thing that I think that they 100% need in order for this to be like a reliable tool set for terrains is and I don't know if it's included, is the color erosion. Like, you got to have a color erosion tool. So hopefully that's in here. Height field slump, we didn't have this before. So we've got slump modes. You can see kind of what's happening, I guess, here. So they change those. Coloring stuff. Got all these color ramps. I think it ships with this. All these different, like, I don't want to call them like sat maps, but they're kind of like sat maps. So this is like a preview mode. So this is an actual geo, but it's like a preview of what your geo can look like, and you can change that and kind of see how it will look at different like resolutions. Infinite terrain. You mean by infinite terrain, you mean like kind of like what World Machine has? So here they're driving the erosion just with like a ramp, I believe, and this is just like a visualizer of kind of where the erosion is kind of coming from, or like wind erosion. Idea's already flying. Yeah. By the way, does the delay less, Alex? I tried to turn the delay down. Hopefully it worked. I can't set it to like the super low delay because I have to turn down my resolution and stuff. And it's not, I don't know. I clicked it and it's like, oh, it doesn't support like a whole bunch of things. This looks really good. This terrain looks super nice. All right, so this is the new Strata, height field Strata node. So you can obviously see what we get here, just looking at the different settings here. Just layering them. Nice. Glad the delay is a lot lower. Just a little example. It sounds like they're going to have some examples of terrain setups, like recipes that will do some things for you, so you can kind of get used to it. This was pretty cool. This is going to get really cool because there's a new node called Fractal Sample. Fractal Sample. Let's just take a look. So you take an image, you feed it into this fractal sample, and then it like recursively adds it in, just like a fractal noise would, right? Look at this. This is awesome. The possibilities here alone are just crazy. Alex, did you make this? This is so good. I don't know if that was to you making it or not. So good. You did. Awesome. Awesome. This looks awesome. I like, yes. This is going to be so sick for just so many different things. I'm excited to just toss stuff in there and see what happens. I think this is an example. I don't know. Maybe I put this into like my brain, but I thought maybe this was an example of the fractal sample being used. I could be wrong, but I thought that's what I heard kind of when they were talking about it. This is pretty cool. So this is some more ML type stuff. So you get a height from image basically. Feed it in an image, and then it'll create a depth map, which is pretty sweet actually, for just being able to take an image and then like procedurally put stuff over it. I'm looking and see if I can find any new notes. I want to do that actually back here too. Is there anything new that we missed in there? UV map by ID. Do we have that? I don't know if we have that. Do we have a UV map by ID? UV map, we do. Okay. So many nodes. Okay, yeah, it looks like just the strata. Sorry to get distracted there. There's just so much. Was the no? So the train at the beginning. Yeah, I'm assuming. Sorry that you're talking about this one. No, it's not. It's not got like overhangs. Like it may be displaced in a way that it looks like it's got overhangs, but the height fields they're 2D, volumes. So we don't have like 3D. That's something that I would love to see just in general is a 3D terrain maker where you allows for overhangs and you still have erosion and stuff. But I don't even know the math that would go into that and stuff would just be insane, I think. Reminds you of the effects map in Substance? Yeah, I don't know if I used that. That may have been after my time. But the good thing about these nodes, the ML nodes, is all of the ML stuff is like you can download this, right? So this is downloaded to their computer, and then like the model for this, and then it runs like quick, right? So it's not like you're waiting on, ChatGPT or whatever, not for this case, but like a Flux or whatever for the image generation. I don't do any of that type of stuff really. Or like Midjourney, I guess that's a good example. But pretty cool stuff here, playing with that. What are they talking about here? They talk about more terrains. Hello, welcome. We got anything new in here? Oh, height field mask by feature. Duh. Yeah, that's something that would be needed in COPS if they're going to bring that along. Yeah. Height field, flow field. That's a new noise too. Actually, this is a height field slump node. Never mind. Mask by feature. Yeah. And then all these new ramps. Yeah, it's just a height field mask. Actually, is that just a... Oh, no, never mind. All right. So Solaris and Karma, these got some updates. I don't fully remember exactly what all they were talking about here, but I do remember this part. So this is actually pretty cool. So we've got your like component builder directly in SOPs now, which okay, so this is like your geo spreadsheet, I think, up here. I think that's what we're seeing here, which shows some of the new stuff in the geo spreadsheet, right? Because this is all directly inside of SOPs. And then we switch over to the create component. So this is basically like you have got all the different controls for controlling exactly how your component or USD stuff is going to look. So this just looks like it's made this whole process so much nicer. So you can create proxies without any extra work there, or you can do it separately here and wire it in yourself into that proxy input. And then you can see directly in here. Do they actually do anything with the... Yeah, other than that, they don't do anything with the spreadsheet. Working with height fields, could you paint masks with the new painter stuff in cops? Yeah, you should be able to. Actually, I'm not even gonna say you should be able to. You 100% can. You 100% can. Because even if you can't do it directly on like the height field itself, you can do it on a grid that is a height field. That's so yes, you 100% can. I don't know which... I'm not sure what you're talking about with the karma rendering. When, I guess, is the best question. This is so nice to be able to do this inside of SOPs. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this at first, but I'm very sure that this is going to be something that I use a lot more now. You can also change the... I want to actually look at this closely here, because they're changing the pivot point here of this sign. So it looks like he right clicks, and then we go to pivot mode. That happened really fast. Okay, we're just changing pivot mode there, and then moving the pivot. Okay, so that's all they're doing, just moving the pivot, which is so handy. This is super cool. Changes to the point instancer, it looks like, just the way this works. I don't know, this looks like a totally new interface, unless I'm like, is this the point instancer, or is this like the is this like the layout? Is it the layout lop? Yeah, so I think this is the layout lop. So I think the layout lap is like gone maybe, and we're just gonna have this like point instancer. We're now in 6 minutes with the hippos. Okay, we'll have to maybe jump back to that later. So just painting, you've got, you know, all your different tools here. There was your layout kind of lop. And then you can do stuff with your different brush modes, but you can also do the like ambient occlusion and stuff, which is pretty nice. You still have the ability to just put them on yourself. So this is what makes me think it's like that layout lop. Okay, so here's more crime of CPU or XPU, so it's not, takes a minute, I guess, but it's still pretty quick. They're also sped this up, right? So it's gonna render quicker. What's up, Zach? So I was like the current object merge node, but for USD children. You talking about the? Talking about this? So this is a normal merge node, but this is just, so this is a normal merge node. What you're seeing here is just inside of stop. So this is the component builder, and each of these components are being fed into this merge node, which is then being fed into another component builder that's going to make this road sign. So the component builders here are determining the USD layout of all of the components for that part. And then they're going to be put into this, and you can see the kind, it's a subcomponent there. So we have all the different kinds and different settings for that directly inside of this. Like I said, I didn't think that was going to be all that useful to myself originally, and I've completely changed my mind on that. That is going to be useful. For sure. Even as someone that basically just renders stuff through SOP create, you know, being able to set all that stuff inside of SOPs and not having to like jump back and forth is going to be nice. You can do culling here for the camera. I don't know if you caught that. So you can cull based off of any camera you want. It doesn't, a camera frustum. It doesn't even have to be the camera that you're looking through or like your render camera. This looked pretty cool. So you can take objects. So they've laid out these objects, right? So they've got I guess it's kind of already set up when they click that. But they've got these signs here, and then they're culling things based off of that sign, which I think is can be pretty cool for things like if you're laying out like trees or something like that, or like a forest scene, you want grass to not grow around your like downed tree or your tree stump, whatever it may be, right? So that would be cool. And then you can just put a random mesh in there too as a mask. So this is all inside of lops. We don't have a scatter instances node. So they've kind of reworked a lot of this. So I think this is like, I thought this was the layout lop. Let me go back. Oh, they didn't have a, dang it, I was hoping they'd have a node view there. But anyways, they show some more of this stuff. And they show it with it being used on a terrain here too. So new scatter instances. So this is all new. Which, to be honest with you, if this is simplifying the scattering workflow in Solaris, I'm all for that, because the point instancer in its current form, I feel like is kind of a lot of work to set up. All right, so we can set up. Looks like these are different objects. So we're pulling in multiple objects here. Maybe. Got some density settings, relax iterations. Do ambient occlusion. So what changes here when they change that? So like the road. Okay, so they've got a spline here for the road or some objects. Looks like these objects maybe. They've got like width attributes they're setting. And then, okay, so this is where they've got the road. Let me go back. Yeah, so they're enabling. Okay, so they've got some bigger meshes here that they're putting into this. Wow, there's a lot to this. Wow. So they've got multiple point instancers that they're bringing in here. And this is all the scatter instances node. So this is a new node. And then they've got all the different meshes, right? These buildings, the road geometry that they're then calling all of the instances for. Yeah, this new scatter lop saves you from doing a bunch of different setups. This looks awesome. So convenient. They also made changes to the edit lop. So you can like drag around a bunch of different instances at once. This is cool because it's got that functionality of like de-intersection and stuff, right? So it kind of like simulating. I don't know if you guys remember it from a couple of releases ago. There was a part of one of the keynotes where they showed this exact thing where you could like move things and have them and like interact with the other objects in the scene with like physics. There are also updates to, and I thought this was already in here, but updates to the light instancing. So all these are instance lights. And I guess we didn't have the ability to control basically everything about them, but now we do. Let's just listen to actually what he says. What in the world? Did I hold on? That doesn't sound right. Did I mess with this audio somehow? Okay, somehow I pitched this down. Hold on. We're at I don't even remember how to snap and resolve. I don't know if there is a snapping thing in resolve other than like snap to playhead. Okay, I don't know what happened. My audio's messed up, but whatever. Okay, never mind. The audio is totally messed up from the download. That's what's going on here. All right, so no audio. But these are like these lights are like instance and stuff. And then they've got some changes to the light settings too. And this was something that caught my eye. I don't know if anybody caught this as well, but this is something that I think is really cool. I could have sworn that you definitely could instance geolights. You totally could. But I don't know that you had full control over everything. So that's probably what they're talking about. So I want you to pay attention here, right? So they're talking about this color limit. Notice the UI, right? It's maxed out here. Your slider is maxed out. He ups it, and now it's dynamically changed, right? If we change something to, let's just do the same thing, right? I don't think, yeah, if I set that past that, it doesn't change this, right? But it does in this. So if we have dynamic like min and max values, I think that's pretty cool. But that changes the way that this works in the render. That is new. See? It's that little stuff. So we've got this mission. I'm gonna call it kind of like I don't know. To me, it's similar to like emission importance sampling from Clarice. If any of you are familiar with that. Okay, it only happens when you type a value in. Interesting. But this should be faster. Added for the height field stuff. All right, so we get different things, different values here. So 10-second renders on all of these. This is the different settings, right? So much cleaner. And you get this bright spot back, right? You lost that bright spot. Then with the color limit turned up, it's a little bit cleaner. You get that bright spot back. And then with this volume sampling, it's a lot cleaner. All right, especially in this light. Cool stuff. I'm guessing Karma's got quite a few updates and hopefully is quite a bit faster too. I think they just talk about, oh no, this was cool. Man, I wish I had sound. It remixes down when you download it. I've got it remixed down, so I had a whole bunch of issues getting the audio to work properly. But seems like it's still not perfectly set up. This is cool though. We've got light blockers. So this is a new filter, Karma light filter. Let me just play through this actually. So we can use an object to basically like block light, which is actually pretty cool for an idea for something that I was thinking about doing. I don't know if I'll ever do it, but this looks pretty sweet. And then does this use the new? No, it doesn't. Oh yeah, this is the new. Or is this not? This is all in Copernicus. Oh, so this is just like a preview material. Or no, this is a. They were talking about this specifically. This isn't a material library. So is this just like it's set up with like the OP colon stuff? Alex, you're gonna have to help us out here. Is this new? This texture material library? Is this a new node? Or is this, I mean, it looks like it's essentially just taking the CopNet. Okay. Yeah, it's a new LOP node, which basically has a COP network inside it. Yeah, it's new. So it's kind of like the quick material node, right? We had the quick material. Okay. Comes directly in. Yeah, so we had the quick surface material, and then you could like create a CopNet, and then it did that. So it directly creates a USD material instead of going through a preview material. Nice. Okay, so they turn this on. I'm assuming here, let me make sure that they do what I think they do. Oh no, they didn't do that. Have they changed it? I'm assuming. Oh, no, they did it here. Yeah. So this updates so much faster now, right? Like this it used to take some time. Sometimes you'd have to restart your render. I'm assuming that they have ironed a lot of that out with this new texture material library node. Also, does it work like? Oh, this is just one. Is this just one like material, or can we like create like one texture material library and it works like a material library where you can create like multiple ones in here? It looks like it's just one, right? Based off of this little path right here. Not entirely sure. Okay. Yeah, so it's basically like having a cop network inside of a material builder. Yes, that's what it looks like. And it seems like this stuff is faster and it's working a little bit better than in 21. This is the new Material X flake shader. So they've updated the Material X stuff. Oops. Let me undo that. Sorry. Okay, so this is cool as well. So they've taken the these are like the slap comp stuff, and then they've turned it into an image filter now. I was hoping that we'd have the ability to make our own custom ones, but it doesn't look like we've got a custom thing in here. Create smart materials pack to the Material X and cops. I'm going to say that that is something that you will be able to do. I would be willing to bet that you would be able to do that now. So these are basically just like your slap comp stuff directly as an image filter, which is pretty cool. And I like this interface a lot. It seems like it's a lot cleaner than like the way that slap comps worked. You can just like drag them around and reorder them, which is pretty nice. And they look like it, and it works with other renders as well. That's what they say. It's RenderMan now running instead of Karma. And I just looking at it, I mean, it seems to be working pretty quickly. Not necessarily on the render side, obviously, but it works. Like the image filters are going to be applied, after. So there's new RBD material fracture for metal. There's a preset. It'll be just on the RBD material fracture, I'm guessing. The Voronoi we talked about in the sneak peek. It runs, they said, 3 times faster. New presets for these like magical effects. They don't really touch on this. They just kind of show this, just like they did with the sneak peek. And then they talk about here how this is Cops Pyro, and how they've made improvements to it. So it should be more on visual parity with like your normal Pyro. This looks different. This feels different. Nothing wired in here, just a straight. Huh. Just a straight cable. I wish I had sound. Stupid thing. Just remix down without sound. I don't remember exactly what they were talking about with some of the stuff. I think this is where they start. No, they talk about that later with the Gaussian splat. So I guess these are just examples of the Karma Pyro. And then we get into some more fun stuff with cops. So this is the examples of the new UV shape node. Just the UV map applied over these, but these are some of the shapes that you kind of can get from it. Whoops. And then what you'll actually kind of like see, that's it with being sampled, UV sample node. Yeah, the 2D sims are going to be really great for compositing once compositing is fully in there. So these are examples of it being used, this UV shape, as well as this new Luxodrome shape that we hadn't seen before. And this just shows, you know, how it's working, the UV shape, and then it's working into a tile sample, or a UV sample, I mean. So I don't know if these are actually going to like come with Houdini, or if those are just showing as some examples of what you can do with it. But looking good. Love me some cops. Cops also works better, I guess, in Unreal, or actually works in Unreal. I don't know if it worked in 20.5 or not, but you can control everything inside of Unreal now, which I'm pretty sure you couldn't do before. So also, I think Alex worked on this too. The baker, or the bake pre-process, I guess is what it's called, to pre-process some of the meshes before you do any of the labs baker or the Karma baker, which now that I think about it, I still need to look at that Karma baker. But this is going to help kind of fix some of the issues that you might run into, that you could run into with those baking things. Looks pretty good. This is super cool. This is the new planar inflate, which I've been waiting for this. I was thinking about wrapping this up myself with a like geometry one, because we have the planar inflate in SOPs, but now we have it directly in COPS. And we can do some cool planar inflate stuff. So there's different settings here. So we've got basically like your inflation amount. You've got some wrinkles that you can add, and then some mounds. And they like, this doesn't look that great right here, but as you add in this other stuff, it looks pretty cool. Very like couch cushiony. Some noises and stuff added there. Very cool stuff. I'm excited for that. That's very good. Actually, they showed it on a character here. This is very good for like these types of situations. But I wasn't thinking of like a character spacesuit when I was seeing that, or when I saw that in the preview. But very good use case for it as well. So neural cellular automata. This is pretty cool. So I guess you can train your own, maybe, Alex? I don't know. But you can take these and you can control their shapes. So like this is the input. This is it trying to match our input, and then you can adjust it and change it here. Okay, yeah, you can train your own. Super, super cool. I'm definitely gonna have to look into that. And this is it being used just in a block here. Pattern unpack. So they kind of like mix these. So we've got two different ones here. And they're just mixing it over as we play through. Interesting stuff for some like texture animation that you could do. This is probably the single most requested thing that has come from Copernicus being in Houdini, and that is the paint. So let's just dive into this. This is going to be the UI, I guess, for the paint tool. So you can paint on first of all, you can paint on a 2D and you can paint in 3D. So you can paint directly on your meshes. So we've got this like brush palette here with layers. So like your Photoshop layers, or like your Substance Painter layers. You got all your different blend modes, your opacities. They cover brushes as well. You can paint RGB, you can paint, mono for your different channels. I'm assuming you can probably paint like UVs too if you wanted to do that, do some weird stuff with that. So we've got your different colors here. Symmetry. So this is cool. We've got a tile like symmetry thing, so you can paint a seamless texture if you wanted to do that. I'm not sure what this reflection is going to be. So you got your different things here. You can create a brush recipe. That's interesting. I'm assuming that you're going to be able to like import brushes or create your own brushes. So we got our different settings here. You can control all sorts of different things about this. So you got your alpha, your flow, like all the typical stuff from painting in other apps. There they kind of show it here, right? So you're in your normal like -1 to 1 space or whatever, and then boom, we switch to tiled mode, and we've got tiles. Yeah, I didn't expect the layers like this either. And I look, if you, I think he paints across seams there. Hard to tell. Did they? Oh no, he didn't adjust. He just adjusted the shape and stuff. Paint across UDEMs. That's a good question. That I don't know the answer to. Alex, if you can tell us. If you can tell us. This new. This is so good. This is so nice. So nice. I love this. And you can sample, your screen colors too. So you have all the ability to do all that type of stuff. Solid substance designer replacement for sure. No painting across UDEMs at this point, unfortunately. But it'll come. I'm sure it will. This texture looks really good. So this is a, hand painted model there, and then hand painted, texture here. And this is tileable, right? So you can create your own tileable hand painted textures. Pretty nice. You can also paint, like here they're painting out this logo here, and then they're like tracking it, which is not, it's using something from outside of Houdini, I believe. I don't think there's a direct like tracker in Houdini. But it seems to do a pretty good job. They played with PDG there to get that to work. This looks pretty cool. So this is neural layer to mask. So it's going to take in a image, and then it's going to detect the objects with them, and you're going to be able to create a mask out of them. Okay, so this works somewhat similar to, wait, this is in, oh no, this is in cups. This works somewhat similar to the ID sample node that I just created. No, there's not a chat bot in 22. What you're seeing earlier was an MCP server linked into Houdini, and you can run your own model, whatever model you choose, through that. Ocean Spectrum coming here. I think this was just all the the neural mask. So this is interesting. We can create an ocean spectrum here. Ocean evaluate. Actual noise. Okay. Constant. So this is them creating a foam mask or foam on the ocean spectrum. Seems to be working pretty fast. So that's without, right? And this is without, and this is all Vulkan. So this is directly in your viewport, it seems. Right? This is like real-time feedback. I guess it could be like a play blast, but it looks pretty good with the noise or the foam there that they've added in. This is super cool. This is a height map. So this is like your ocean spectrum still, right? This is the height map that's driving the caustics. So this is going to be caustics from height. Very cool. And then they're going to do the same thing here with it. So you get some lighter caustics there where it's not as shallow, and then where it's more shallow here. Very cool stuff. And this is directly, this is running in COPS, right? So this is post render. If you want to do it with like implementing this stuff in your render, it also works through your glass. Which this I guess I'm a little confused about this. I'm not sure exactly how they've got this set up with the height to caustics. I guess it could be projecting a depth map, maybe. I don't know. This is more caustic stuff directly after, or directly in your cops. This little short film is pretty nice. Let's watch it. They look really good. They look really believable. Caustics are notoriously hard to render. All right, so there's new solvers inside of cops. So this is still cop stuff, right? This is the new ripple solver. There's new dynamics nodes. So we've got this nice little ripple solver. Could be a light filter. It does look too good to be just a light filter. Alex, did you make this ripple solver too? This is so cool. The possibilities here. Very, very cool. I'm excited to play around with it. This is all, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, but this is all like viewport karma, right? Or not karma, viewport from cops, right? Like this is all just cop stuff. This is super cool. All this stuff from directly out of cops. There was something in 21's presentation where they had the cops like seaweed. Very cool stuff. Yeah, all cops, shape, scatter, ripples, caustics, scatter on curves. Yes. Super, super cool. And they break this all down too. So just looking at this is going to be a lot of fun to play around with. I'm excited. So good. Do these leaves like move? Yeah, these leaves are like moving too. I didn't even catch that in the first couple times. You got your wet map on the rocks here, along with your ripples and the Water, so good. So good. And those fish. I'm loving it. Such a creative thing. If you haven't seen, I'm going to try and find it, I think. There was something that was posted. I don't know if it'll pop up on my home. There was like something that was posted in Reddit or something. There's also a YouTube video on it. I don't remember what it's called. I'm not going to be able to find it. But there was something that was posted recently on Reddit and YouTube that had a tutorial that showed like a fish moving through the water, and it like interacted, and it was all made with like cops and stuff. It was super cool. If somebody knows what I'm talking about, you want to throw a link in the chat for me, I appreciate it. It was like a shark that swam through like a pond thing. This is more that the curves drawn over. Also, this isn't mentioned here, but I'm sure this is what this is. This is the Starglow node, which I think Alex also made, and Cops. So we'll have a Starglow and Cops now too. Cool stuff. And then possibly, you can already see it in the thumbnails, it's coming up. The most exciting feature, I guess, for me that I have questions about is this adjacency rasterization. So this is UV adjacency rasterization. So we've got this now inside of COPS. So we've got the ripple solver here going over our seams, and we get this nice seamless movement across everything. My questions here are, they say specifically with it's for use with adjacency rasterization of like aware nodes. So we've got the ripple solver. Is the flow solver included in that? Was the flow solver updated to be able to work with the adjacency rasterization? And it doesn't apply to everything, I'm guessing. So they're showing here, I guess, how it works. So we're going to take this is a new node, Geo2 adjacency. We're going to take a SOP import, plug in our geometry. It's going to spit out the adjacency. And then I don't even know what is going on. This is contact sheet stuff. Okay, hold on. Let me read what he has to say. So ripple, reaction diffusion were updated to use adjacency. No flow? No flow? We have a distort with adjacency. The flow node needs to get updated. That one's so much fun. There is a layer sample with adjacency, which I think is called extrapolate with adjacency, which can sort of do that. Okay, that was my other question is, can you make it work with other things? Now, obviously, like the flow is not going to really work that way, but it is like with other things. I think that'll help maybe quite a bit. I'll be excited to play around with this, see how nice it is. There is, I'm assuming it's a different method than Yancey Lindquist has shown, which you guys are not aware. There is a tutorial on SideFX's website that shows how to make an adjacency rasterization thing. So you can try to set it up yourself, and you may get different results than what this gives us. All right, so it doesn't work with the flow because the project non-divergent multi-grid. We're aware, probably coming future release, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, matter of experimentation. Sometimes it may sort of work, yeah. So no blur. No blur. Darn. But it seems to do a pretty good job. This is just with like a noise though. So like, oh no, this was an animated thing, right? Or no, it wasn't. Or it is. It is. We've got some movement here. So what is this just a fractal noise? Blur is astronomically hard, yeah. Yeah, okay. You can get around it by using a block somewhat. Blur in small steps. Yeah, and just kind of iterate over it. It's not super performant, but Jacob will show in his high presentation. All right, I will look forward to that. So this is still using that adjacency stuff. This looks like the caustics. This looks like a camera. So there's cameras in cops now. So this looks like a depth from camera with some that being fed into the caustics thing. But I think this is rain, actually, is what this is supposed to be. But that's what it kind of looks like. Putting a fractal noise on a UV map and then putting the red outside the UV island and distorting it. Oh, okay. So this. Okay. I gotcha. I don't know if that makes sense to everyone else. I bet you I can show this. Kind of what you're saying. I guess we already got one. Let's do test. Let's do the rubber toy. And then rasterize setup. UVs. Rasterize geometry. So you're saying like basically, like if I were to do this or SDF shape, just go straight to RGB. Let's make this red. And then we could do like a blend. Sorry, I'm just trying to visualize. Oops, RGB. I guess I should have put that to RGB. Let's do SDF to mono. And then we can do like yeah, cable pack. And then we could do a cable unpack. So you're saying like if I were to do this sort of a thing, let me set this to not clamp, but clip. So if I were to take this and then move this to like here with an even smaller value. So I've got like red here, right? So if I distorted this, right, and I cranked up the scale, right? So this now distorts onto here, but without that, or with the adjacency rasterization, we would avoid that. I guess that's not a good example. It would be after, sorry, not here, but after. So I'm going to cut. Oops. So like we would get some sort of distortion. We would get this like red to go over there, right? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I want to make sure that's what I was actually seeing. Okay. Back to your regularly scheduled programming. So this is just rain going over that with the adjacency map. Here we've got the what is that called? You said it earlier. Reaction diffusion growing over your mesh. Cool stuff. I'm super excited to play around with this adjacency stuff. This has everything kind of mixed together: reaction diffusion, ripple solver, adjacency rasterization, all sorts of weird psychedelic trippy stuff going on. Very cool. All right, so I haven't really talked about Gaussian splats all that much. I haven't really messed with Gaussian splats like at all. They are significantly faster inside of 21. So this is a really good view once they start getting in here. You know, you can see just how much ahead it is. Turing patterns, which makes the reaction without the need for a solver. Awesome. Oh yeah, they didn't talk about he said it. I heard him say it, but they didn't talk about it. It was time shift. There's time shift, time blend, something else. There's a few new nodes in there. Glad to have a time shift in there. That's not like round tripping to stops. Not that that was a super big issue, but you know, something definitely needed. Custom solver. Lots of stuff going on in that example. So we got our animated G-splats here. This is where they talk about the capybara. So the capybara now comes with this groom, comes with the hair, comes with the groom, and it also comes with a pre-baked Gaussian splat, I believe. When will it be available? I don't know if we've got an official statement of when it'll be available. Love the redesign. Should focus more on this to be more friendly. Yeah. What's the use case for which kind of Gaussian splat? They're are you talking about the city here? I guess I guess they're faster to render in some cases. They also can be lighter. There's actually some stuff, the cool stuff that we're gonna see here in a minute. Took so many years for the guy to get some hair. Yeah. Yeah, USD proxy meshes are an interesting case for that. They talk about that here in a bit with the clouds. This is pretty cool. So this is going to be like rigged and simulated type stuff going on with the Gaussian splats. We also have the ability to relight them, which, if I'm not wrong, somehow has something to do with Copernicus, I think is what they were talking about. I was kind of confused, but again, I haven't really messed with the Gaussian splats like at all. So I'm not exactly sure what this was all about, but different methods for relighting them. So without this spherical harmonics, they don't look nearly as good, but you get some really cool stuff with that turned on. Background stuff, they can actually get really high detailed, and you can get some, like, you could use some Gaussian splats for some like hero shots, in my opinion. Yeah, so this is Karma. This is it's rendered, And then they switched to the Vulkan viewport, which, like, this looks great. They did talk about getting closer to a real-time, basically like a real-time renderer, it sounds like, in the viewport. It sounds like that's something that they're kind of like going towards, sort of like maybe a Eevee from Blender or something. Okay, so this, maybe this is where they're talking about the cop stuff. So I think they're just baking. This is, I don't really know. I'm not really sure what's going on here. I don't think they've said the actual release date. Someone said it in the chat in the official live stream, but I don't know if that's right. No one's confirmed, and I didn't see it on the actual end of the presentation. I don't want to say it if I'm not supposed to, and I don't want to say it if it's wrong either. So let me try to figure out. Okay, so this is running directly in cops. So it looks like we have the ability to bring a G-splat into. Okay, these are new notes. All right, so this is, we can bring a rasterize a G-splat directly into cops. And then we have this sphere sample, which is going to sample a background or like a HDRI and put it on like a background sphere is what it looks like. Which that is actually huge. That sphere sample, being able to put something in the background for your compositing stuff. And then so this is running directly, so we don't actually have. Okay, so this is just like a preview, I'm guessing, is what it's supposed to be, of what your render will actually look like in the event that you want to render it with Karma. This is also a G-splat, so this is. Oh, this one was taken with a bunch of pictures. Yeah, they talk about that. So that you can train them directly inside of Houdini now, which is pretty cool. Running through a top net, which I have not touched at all. But this stuff is pretty cool. So it's going through and it's cooking, and you can actually see it. It looks like, yeah, so you can open the G-splat viewer, which this is coming as part of Houdini, or is this like a third-party application that we can just like hook up to? I don't know which one it is, but you can see how your G-splat looks as it's being trained. See all the different points, because it's just a bunch of points. Pretty cool. And then you get your final, Gaussian splat, which looks super good. Like these look so good. Here they show the camera. So this is all inside of cops. I did want to look at this. So we've got no camera. So we just plop down a camera. So we've got all of our camera settings directly inside of cops, and then this is in your viewport showing up too. So you can assumingly lock them and move them around and everything. Yeah, they do it. So you don't have to import your cameras anymore. So that's super nice. And then you can do all sorts of interesting stuff with your G-splats. And let's actually look at that. What did that say with those quick setups? What quick setups do they got for us? CD, depth from I, and depth from NDC, or depth NDC. I don't know what that one is. This is just a simple example where they just changed the background color. Interesting stuff. Not super big deal, but you can go in here and train your G splats on your render. So this actually is going to take, some time because it takes a bunch of cameras. So this is sort of similar to like if you've ever seen them scanning people's faces for movies, this is exactly kind of what that is, or their bodies, I guess. This is kind of exactly what is going on, but for your 3D scene. Um, I'm guessing this is going to be a recipe. I think it would be stupid if that wasn't like a recipe. But it's showing just a subnet here. But I think that would be dumb if this wasn't a recipe. So obviously the number of cameras, the number of camera angles is going to impact the quality of your Gaussian splat, but it's going to take, yeah, it is a recipe. Okay, good. It's going to take more time. So it's going to run I'm guessing, so this is going to run a render. This has got to run a karma render, right? Karma, yeah, standard, yeah, karma render settings. Yeah. So it's going to run a karma render. So this is going to take some time because it's going to render out all 100 of those images, which, obviously is going to take a lot of time, which is not necessarily something that you're going to want to do for every situation. You're going to get yourself a nice G-splat out of it. But one of the good things about this they show here in a moment. We don't have a release date yet. End of next month is the plan, hopefully, but nothing confirmed. So here's with a cat. You get some really nice details out of this. Renders very well. Yeah, no worries. Get some sleep. Thanks for joining us. Be excited to see what everyone comes up with. But here, so you can take this and get some nice clouds out of it, right? So you could render out these would I would assume would render astronomically faster as a Gaussian splat than they will as a volume. And these look great. And I would assume hopefully with the yeah, there's like volume. You've got volumes like scattering in here, right? So you could use these as like background assets. One thing that's really cool that they show here is these volumes. So, right, we've got this fire simulation, but then they go beyond that, and we've got an animated Gaussian splat. So on the left here is the render. On the right here is the Gaussian splat, which, there is some difference between these two. Sorry, I was cutting that off. And the size difference is a pretty decent amount. So 180 megabytes for just this volume, but then you've got this Gaussian splat, which is only 45 megabytes. But the cool thing here is with the Gaussian splat, you're not locked into one camera angle. Where do they show that? Here's the Gaussian splat, and they can move, or you can move around. So for like some assets that are going to be maybe background assets, it would take more time to do this. But if you created like a library of Gaussian splat explosions, I think that'd be super useful for people because you can then, instead of it being like, this is like the next evolution of like stock assets, in my opinion, right? Because we no longer are locked into that one angle, that one camera angle for bringing this into your comps. And we already saw that with cops, we can take this Gaussian splat and we can rasterize it down. So we have all the tools, necessary for us to be able to take this and stick it wherever we want in our scenes and have it, look good. So you could, rotate these around or whatever and really get that next level of customizability for your projects. Cool stuff. And now we get the fun part of going through all of the different things that have been added. I'm not going to look through all of these for the KineFX stuff, but we'll break down some of these as we get later on. They didn't show it here, which I'm surprised with more in depth, but that example of the Gaussian splat rigged and animated with the centipede that we saw in the sneak peek, that's super cool. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Sorry. Let's go back here. All right, so we'll kind of skip through some of this. So like I said, not a big animation person. Auto 2.0. Inverse rig and versioning. Nice. Let's see. Long list of new Apex nodes and Apex node enhancements. too many to list. Experimental use. Not going to be something that is production ready, not replacing anybody. The motion, the retargeting stuff, I don't think that's something that you can do easily in other software. It's just is such a big plus to Houdini. They didn't really touch on character effects a ton other than the groom stuff. Looks like lots of updates to Otis. Again, not something that I mess around with a ton. Okay, VFX. This is confusing why this is here. Rich set of Copernicus Pyro recipes that leverage COP's sparse Pyro solver for crowds. I guess this is VFX / crowds, maybe. Ripple solver, adjacency maps, double precision NPM solver for even more accurate results. Ability to specify height fields as collision geometry for NPM. Still no fast octane level caustics. I don't know, those caustics look pretty good. 3 to 4 times for a faster Voronoi split. Clipping algorithm for the Eclipse Lab. Nice. Voronoi fracture 3.0. Material fracture 4.0. For that's where you got that new metal preset. RBD constraint behavior, controllable by painting directly on source geometry, and that's pretty nice. My NPM sim's already in so much pain. Yeah, so now you can get even more accurate and even longer simulations. Multi-segment deformation blur and acceleration blur and RBD procedural. Vellum updates. OpenCL nodes to perform collision detection and neighbor search. Okay. Those magic effects, we've got recipes for those. ML deformer, real-time ML deformation of crowd agents. Nice. Bullet solver 3.5. I like how they include labs now in this. New stops such as multi-attribute promote. Multi-attribute promote. What? Can you not do multi-attribute promotes right now? Oh, no, you can't. Haha. I think I thought about that recently. I was like, why is there not multiple of these? All right. Textile density and export UV wireframe stops. G-Splat. Okay, so the G-Splat relighting is a labs node. Was that for in Karma? I guess that may have been in Karma. Removal of all OpenGL calls from the viewport. No more OpenGL at all. That we saw that edit wireframes in the open subdiv surfaces. Cops and SOP cameras with convenient camera pinning. Geometry transparency mode for highly layered transparent surfaces. So we're going to have, I guess it'll just be better transparency. Ellipse and barn door support for viewport area lights. Wait, viewport area lights? You'd hope that Vulkan is rock solid with removing OpenGL. Yeah, it better be. Otherwise, people are going to throw a fit. Height field visualization enhancements. We saw a bunch of those. View, undo, redo, stack support. Interactive Nomen. Implicit surfaces, geometry primitives. UV relax up to minimize UV distortion and resolve UV backfaces. I feel like the UV tools in Houdini definitely could use some love. I was trying to mess with them the other day, and I was just like, I feel like they are one of the most crashy things too in Houdini. Interruptible UV unwrap stop. Approved group transfer enumerate stop is now multi-threaded. Nice. Verbified shortest path stop. Extrude volume. Ad hoc attribute group syntax extended with ptnum, premnum, and elmnum. Animated curves. Walk on surface up. That one is going to be fun to play with. Quad remeshing updates. We saw those. Faster copying of geo with string attribute that has many unique strings. That is an odd one to specify. Revamped geometry spreadsheet with better UI and additional sorting options. I will be interested to take a look at all of the new updates with that for sure. Sculpt tools. See also Gaussian splats. All right, terrain. Entirely redesigned architecture and toolset inside of Copernicus. I wonder if the terrain tools in SOPs just completely gone. Do they completely get rid of those, or do you have the option to do either one? 5 times faster performance. Heck yeah. Full access to the entire image processing arsenal in Copernicus. Get yourself some terrains affected by the ripple solver. Yeah, I can't imagine they would get rid of them either, but maybe they did. You never know. This height field wire overshading, that was kind of what you saw in that section. Height field cop network tool to height field cop network tool. So you're going to have a copnet, and then you're going to have a height field copnet. Sounds like maybe. Still there. Yeah, okay, good. Broaden space parameterization for working with large-scale height leaders. Dampened fractals and sparse convolution noise for terrain generation. Height field strata, height field terrace, height field slump, height field erode cop with faster performance. Wish it was easier to get good things out of that. Height field mask by feature, saw that one. Native height field cops to convert. Those are just like recipes, it sounds like. Tool scripts and recipes to support terrain building workflows. Height field to geometry conversion for exporting from cops to sops. So there will be that height field conversion, or like the meshing that happens. Cop height fields exported as displaced grids via preview material. Ability to project any SOP geometry onto height field layer. I thought well, I guess you wouldn't have had that. Well, I kind of. Okay, yeah, so that gallery of like terrain color ramps is something that's going to come with it. So you saw all those color ramps. We're going to get those with 22. Sophisticated terrain recipes. I'll be interested. Hopefully these terrain recipes that they're shipping with them are going to be like actually like high level terrains, like very good looking terrains. Because I'm interested in seeing how they get how anybody gets good results out of that erode node, because I just can't. I struggle so much. Neural terrain generates SOP to run inference on terrain models. Didn't we already have that? Didn't we already have the ability to run that in 21? Recipe to train custom Onyx models. Or maybe that's what it was. I bet it was this. That's what we had. Solaris, procedural scatter instances lab that leverages Hydra generative procedurals. Heck yes. I know Zach is just foaming at the mouth to get his hands on all of these tools. Support for scatter on surfaces, masking primitives and primvars. Point instance lab. Complete overhaul of the layout lab for world building. Okay, so this point instance lab is now going to be, that's what the layout lab was. That's what I was guessing it was. It's no longer going to be called that layout lab. Look for that paint instance. I said point instance, paint instance. Significant enhancements to the edit lab's performance and stability. I had to wipe my face several times during that presentation. Dude, there's a lot that's in this for Solaris. I thought that we'd be slowing down with it, and they just came back with a whole bunch of updates. Heck yeah. Edit lab support for physics mode on point instances. Very nice. We talked a little bit about that. Lop slop node for efficient handling of many instances across point instances. Point instance lop enhancements. Support for that. Recording and preservation of asset pivot info with Xform Common API. I think that's kind of what we were seeing with the component builder lops. Plane lop to enable easy authoring of USD plane prems. I like just like a grid, like a plane. Interesting. Relocate lop for authoring, relocate composition arcs. I'm not sure if that means what I'm thinking it means, so I'm just not gonna open my mouth, make myself look stupid. Redesign context options editor panel. Nice. Scene graph tree custom columns. What? Scene graph tree custom columns. Scene graph tree. Like in here? Round tripping enhancements. ML train G splats from Carmelop. Easy to use recipe. Nice. Custom data columns. Yeah, that's gotta be. Better light mixer, linker, and material linker performance for large scenes. Did we fix the light mixer? I think it was the mixer that was just crashing. I think it crashed quite a bit, if I remember right. Maybe it's been updated since then. Support for pausing live render laps. Nice. Render pass driven selection of render settings. Exporting of COP generated UDIMs with USD ROP. Do we have full like UDIM? Not full UDIM support, but do we have more UDIM support now? I'm guessing. I guess that's a good question. I don't think that was answered earlier. UDIM support, is that improved at all, Alex? Texture material library lob for convenient cop-powered shading workflows. That looks super good. I can't wait to try that out and see if it works better than right. Because Zach, I don't think if you were here for that yet, I don't think you were jumped in here, but was the doesn't the Karma like you have to restart the render quite a bit when you're doing like the OP colon stuff and messing with stuff in cops. Yes, better UDIM support. Nice. Improved controls for translating nested pack folders and USD hierarchies. Apex stuff. Okay, ability to configure Apex rig directly in Lops. That's interesting. Yeah, I remember it being finicky, but I was doubting myself. Yeah, it could be an overall. I think that well, Alex said that something about the way that it works. It's rendered as like a or authored as a Hydra something or USD surface or something like that. I don't know where it was at. It's back there somewhere. USD to 26.05 and Material X to 1.39.5. Karma. All right, so we haven't really heard much about this. Highly improved rendering performance with scenes with many volume lights. We saw that, I feel like. Well, I guess I don't know if that'd be many, but we saw some improvements with the volume lights. Karma ambient occlusion, curvature, and distance shaders. Heck yeah. So they took that out, the AO, or was it the curvature? I think they took I don't know if we had both of them. Maybe we did. But they took those out at some point because they were not happy with the way that they worked. Their support for them was like not a good implementation. That was their words. So it sounds like we got those back, which is pretty sweet. Physical sky support for portal lights. Oh, nice. I didn't realize that wasn't a thing. Definitely had that for the dome lights. Blending of displacement mapped and bump map shading. Object space displacement shading for scale impervious results. Global AOV right shader. Stencil map support for UDIMs. Cool. Higher quality Blackman-Harris filter evaluation. Better performance when instancing geometry and mesh lights. Nice. Light filter support for geometry and mesh lights. Cool. All right, so we'll be able to use those new like light blockers with the mesh lights. We saw that volume sampling equiangular MIS. Z importance dicing. Decay support for light filters. Cool. Many Material X VOPs. Flake 2D, Flake 3D, Fractal 2D. Nice. Whitewater recipe with support for specular layer over uniform volume. I feel like I've seen a lot of questions recently just around about whitewater rendering. Mipmap adjustments. Baking. Automatic generation of mipmap textures. Maximum distance control when computing shading. Support for materials using the open PBR surface shader. Oh, you couldn't bake textures with the open PBR surface shader? I didn't realize that. Automatic cage offset. Render ISO surface VDBs as uniform volumes. Improved Gaussian splat rendering. So those should be a lot faster. I know people said that there was kind of hit or miss on whether they'd be faster in 21. Improved slapcom filter list integration into USD. ACES 3.0 support. Nice. ML preprocess, train G-splats, tops for Gaussian splats. Lots of stuff here. Make textures top to run make TX on images and expose various parameters. Interesting. There's some discussion about the make TX before, just the other day. Lots of stuff here for Houdini engine. GLTF. I don't really mess much with Houdini engine and Unreal. Copernicus. All right, growing set of professional quality grunge map cops. That is definitely something that we need is more grunge maps. Love me my grunge maps. Textile inspired patterning cops such as knit and weave. Didn't we already have a weave? I feel like we already had a weave. Creative patterning cops such as fractal sampling and planar inflate. I'd love to see more tools like that. Like that planar inflate. It's going to be super, super cool. 9 new grunges. Nice. Typical noise cops such as curl, cell, cellular 3D. Wait, didn't we already have? We didn't have curl. Didn't we already have cell? And we definitely had crystal 3D. Or is this? No, it's not. It's not saying enhancements. Enhancements to bubble and cloud 3D. Convolve and faster Fourier transform cops. Fast Fourier transform. Turing pattern cop for natural patterns of stripes and spots from input. Oh, see, that's what you were talking about earlier, that Turing pattern with that, like the statue. Oh, Crystal 3D was backported, but technically it goes here. Yeah, okay, we didn't have cellular. Starglow, courtesy of old Alex here. Versatile mask combined cop to blend baked textures easily. Mask combined. That's an interesting one. That's another thing that I think that they're missing right now. To like they're clearly trying to catch up with Substance, and I think they've even said something about that. But different mask like nodes that are kind of like wrappers for things to generate some different masks like they have in Substance. Like you have, I'm forgetting what all the ones they have in Substance, but there's a bunch of different like mask types that they've got in Substance, and I would like to see some of that type of stuff coming to Houdini as well. Ocean spectrum we saw, caustics and refraction nodes we saw, rasterization of implicit surfaces and G-splats, saw that. Reconstruction of height from its normal map with a normal to height cop. We had a height to normal, now I got a normal to height. Interesting. I think you can do, well, I think you can do some normal to height stuff with some like models, like ML models and stuff. Adjacency maps. Heck yeah, support for, okay, so that only does, again, just specify that it's just a ripple and reaction diffusion, in case you missed that earlier. Support for time-based operations such as time blend, loop, pack, and shift. So we've got a full set of time nodes, or node, I guess, that does all of them in cops. That'll be nice. Multi-space support for mini cops such as blend. Multi-space support. Does that just mean, does the multi-space support mean like we can plug, I don't know. Never mind, because we already could plug in the RGB into like a mono, something like a blend with a mono in it. Multi-space support for many cop Python handle. Or is this saying like multi-space is in like multi-color space? I don't know. Default canvas to simplify cop networks using non-standard layer transform. Image, texture, world kind of stuff. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Enhanced texture baking workflows with interactive support and cage mesh. So you can offset it by image value or by world value or pixel value. Gotcha. Gotcha. UV shape cop. Saw some of that. Native camera support with cop cameras accessible from other contexts. Ability to drag nodes and cameras into the viewer to look through them. Interesting. Drag nodes and drag like nodes and cameras into the viewport. Corner detection cop. Corner detection. Interesting. Drop shadow cop. Nice. That's going to be handy for some cool things like that animation with the fish. UDIM support for preview material and ability to pack tiles into a cable. Nice. Node port shapes. Node port shapes. Saw that kind of briefly in the sneak peek. Powerful attribute wire support. I don't know what that means. Powerful attribute wire support. Library of test images and videos. Nice. Test geometry cops similar to SOPs. Test geometry cops. Oh, like, okay, so we can get like the rubber toy without having to dive into the like SOP geometry. Port shapes, cable, layer, BDB, geometry, and attribute. Curious about cameras in this release. Are they just all accessible from any context now? That's what it looks like and sounds like. No, importing lap cameras into OBJ, for example. Yeah, that's kind of what it seems like. Or like you can create them in like cops and SOPs. So I'm assuming that they're going to be available elsewhere. You'll probably still have to import them, but yeah, but you can create them kind of anywhere, I guess. So we have layer wires, VD wires, then we have attribute wires. So you can have P attribute as a wire and manipulate it using cops. Interesting. Okay, so this sounds like it's kind of gearing up towards more geometry manipulation type stuff. Okay, yeah, I should have read your next message. There's a lot more geometry processing in cops now. Sometimes you don't need to go to the SOP invokes. Okay. I was going to say that there's kind of no need for some of that. But it wasn't, it was something you had to like code kind of in the past. Release date, we do not know. There's nothing confirmed. Sounds like maybe the end of next month, maybe. I don't want to spread any misinformation though. All right. Oh yeah. So this wasn't touched on either, but the 3D output node flag. There's a new flag. File cop support for those different images. Neural cellular automata. We saw third-party AI models seamlessly integrated as cop nodes. Segmentation of 2D images with neural layer to mask. SAM2 cop. We've got a Detectron 2, so object detection. And we've got depth extraction from 2D image using however you pronounce that. 2D and 3D paint with many features in place and many more to come. Nice. Okay, so you've got test geometry cops, like we've got like rubber toy and stuff, but also test images and test video. Cool. I feel like there should be just one. I feel like those should be kind of like unified. There should just be a test geometry, and you should be able to just select whichever one you want and have it just pop up. 40% fastering of Gaussian splats in the viewport. Seems quite a bit quicker. Faster Karma XPU rendering. Real-time playback of animated G-splats. We saw some of that. Toolset to convert 3D assets to G-spots using Karma and Tops. I think there's some of the recipes they're talking about. Cappy test geometry updated with optional G-splat fur. So it's not real fur, it's just G-splat fur. G-splat rasterization cops. Saw that. Color palette recipes. Ability to adjust numbers and input fields using arrow keys. Huh. I didn't realize that was not a thing before. I'm assuming we can use shift and control to control how much of that we're going to be adjusting by. So like normal arrow to the left would be -1. Like shift would be -10. Control would be -0.1, something like that. Maybe not. Guess we'll find out. Cross-platform color eyedropper that operates on the entire screen. You could do that before. It was just a bigger pain in the butt. Ability to generate ramp by sampling along hand-drawn line on screen. Saw that. Sprite drawable framework for use in View 4 displays and integration. Redesign node finder dialog with scalable framework under the hood. Ramp catalog framework deployed through Houdini for terrain and paint. Redesigned help tooltip system. If you guys didn't see that, that's super cool. I like that a lot. And the new start here window. UI theme editor. QML. And all of the people. Let's play through this. Oh god, that goes way too fast. That goes way too fast. Someone slow this down and give people credit where they deserve it. I will go slower through this so that these people all get their well-deserved credit. Malmer, this guy's a genius. He creates all sorts of really cool stuff. Sorry, shout out to him. He's a recent hire. He made one of the caustic things before the caustics was introduced, and it's not the same thing. But he created his own like version of it before he was ever hired. Look who it is. Our very own. So many talented people. Very small team compared to some other like software companies. Launch content interns. Marketing staff. So that is the release here, or the Houdini 22 sneak piece, I guess. And we didn't get an official date. They haven't announced anything for those of you that are asking. Is there anything we should jump back to? Lots of cool stuff. So much to go through. And there's, you can look at all this stuff, right? It's very clear that there is a lot more in here that they didn't get a touch on. So many different cool things, lots of stuff to play with. There'll be lots of videos and stuff coming in the future. Adjacency maps, so much fun. Shout out to this animation too. This is so cool. Nobody found that animation. I want to go and find it. I think it's actually, you know what? I'm going to pull it up. I think I know where to find it. I think I remember. I think it's on the Side Effects website now in the new learning portal. Let's go here. Hopefully it's in here. I thought I saw it. Maybe it's not. Oh, dang it. I was trying to. There's this really cool animation. Really cool animation of like a shark swimming through a pond. It's like tiles and stuff. Hold on, I'm gonna let this play while I check one other place because I think I really want to show it because it's so cool. Very cool ripple stuff. Hopefully I can find it. Maybe not. Man, trying to just rack my brain. Can't figure out what it was called. I don't remember who made it. Never mind. All right. Yeah. Anything else we should look at? I'm so ready for this painting too. Did it all on one layer. I guess, well, yeah, kind of. This will be fun to play with. I'm excited for this. It's so cool that they made it so that you can paint tileable textures. Looks like pretty easily as well. Like, look at that. Yeah, look at that stuff. So nice. Very cool. New features. Planar inflate again. So nice. Brush configuration. Or yeah, Alex, I don't know if you answered that. I did ask earlier. I don't know if we can we like import our own brushes or like make our own brushes? Yeah, like use a cop network as your brush. That would be super cool. I would imagine that you're going to be able to do that type of stuff. There's a whole library of alpha brushes. So then, yeah, surely you can just drop a new alpha in there. No release date. Hopefully sometime next month. Hopefully. Nothing confirmed. You got to be able to make your own brushes. This stuff, Zach, were you in here when we were talking about the Solaris stuff? Locked on 20.5 at work. Oh no. Or like this this USD, this component builder. This thing, this is so nice. This is gonna make this just a lot more user friendly to work with. I feel like cooking pierogies. Oh, you jumped in at the instances. Pierogies, kind of pierogies. Like just being able to control all of this stuff and like this new geometry spreadsheet. So nice. Being able to control all of the different aspects of this. Let's go back to this UI. So you've got your transform, your kind, or your type, your kind, all of this different stuff. Being able to control that all in SOPs and have it laid out exactly how you want, and then you can daisy chain them together to create this, and you can see your tree, right? So we've got your road sign here with 5 different children that have all these different the karma signs, your posts and everything. Love it. Potato pierogies. You're gonna now simulate a brush with hair output to wet map, then rasterize that wet map to a brush to use as a brush texture. That was a lot. Such a sucker for UI updates. You're gonna have to convince your people to update. Got to jump on the new stuff, man. You don't want to be left behind. I'm excited to try out the terrain tools. They definitely, I feel like, weren't quite there yet with 21. This is one of the things that I'm really excited for, the fractal sample. Kudos to you, Alex. One thing I am a little upset about, I guess. I don't know if I want to call it upset. One thing that I think would be super cool, right? We have all of these nodes and cops, and I don't know that it's necessarily needed for, everything, but something that I think would be really cool to be able to do is we have our default UI, right? Where we have, for this particular one, we've got the source, octaves, linearity, and roughness. Well, in cops, it would be it would make a lot of sense to be able to control some things that aren't necessarily exposed. It doesn't make sense for everything, but like seed or like our jitter here, like to be able to have those exposed, and maybe it's a dynamic thing, right? Where maybe we can come in, like there's a little button somewhere, right, that allows us to click on it and then it adds another input. So it's not exposed by default, but so that this list isn't like 10 million, lines long like a VOP is or something. Like a uniform noise VOP is. But we have the ability to add in extra inputs so we can control those with cops as well. I think that that would be something that's kind of cool to be able to have. Um, just I feel like there's a lot of things that aren't exposed to us in cops, and not just like necessarily with this node, whatever, but with all the different nodes that we could have exposed to us, but we just don't. Yeah, completely impossible in some cases. Yeah, and I get that. It just and from making some of the HDAs that I made, but it would be nice to have some some of this stuff exposed. But also, like you'd have to rework so many different things to be able to have those exposed. So that would be just an insane amount of work, and I totally get that too. Does Coppin 22 offer new solutions for making textures tileable? What do you mean by that? Like a pre-made thing? But this looks super cool. Just the different shapes that you're going to be able to create with this. Ah, I'm pumped for that one. Interesting stuff. Like the erosion looks cool. I don't know, like these are decent results, right? I just can't I can't get good results out of the erosion. I'm gonna have to really play with it. Also, I don't think I saw it in there. I don't know if you can say if there's a color erosion um, cop, but there definitely should be. Take some noise or an image as input and make it tileable seamless. Yeah, that would be cool. You're not sure what the color erosion means? So, how do I explain it? It's basically like it's like your normal erosion, but instead of it eroding the um, terrain itself, you plug in like one of the sat maps, right? Or whatever color that you've created, and then runs the erosion it runs the erosion algorithm on the color itself. I mean, maybe you can do that. and I'm just dumb. I don't know. Yeah, the four corners tricks. Just blurring it. Your typical, like, not really sure. Is it? Feel the road. Isn't there in a road? Is the Highfield a road? No. Oh, that's not in the. That's in the. Okay, that's just in stops right now. The road 3.0. For some reason, I was thinking that was one was already in 21. Let's see if we can find a of its UI. All right, wait, hold on. Type info, height. I wonder if you can change that. I wonder if that's a changeable setting to color. Or the signature. Huh. Oh, makes the terrain appear 3D. Okay. Well, then maybe not. Although the signature, I wonder, what does the signature do? Can you even select something different? You can change the color, but it wouldn't be 3D looking anymore. Well, couldn't you take the signature would be color? Yeah, so yeah. So maybe you can. Maybe you can if even if it doesn't make it like look 3D, because then you could take the color and just overlay that back onto your height. Yeah, I know you're over in the UK right now. You're like what, 6 hours ahead of us, something like that. 7:30 here, us central time folks. This thing looks cool to play with too. I'm excited to play with this. Walk on surface. Kind of gonna replace the um, find shortest path for some certain things, I would say. You're gonna be able to do some really cool stuff with this, especially with the taking in of the attributes and stuff. Zach, I don't know if you saw this one. This is something I feel like you would have a lot of fun with. Is this node, this walk on surface node? All right. Well, I think I literally made that same effect for a project 4 months ago. Ugh. Doesn't side effects have the great habit of doing that? You just make something and then they make it default. All right. I think I'm gonna call it here though. We've gone through quite a bit. There's a lot of Apex stuff that we didn't go through, but that is kind of outside the scope of my knowledge currently in Houdini. So leave that to the people that know all about it. This UI stuff. This is gonna be sweet. Very nice stuff. But anyways, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It looks like we're going to have a release date somewhat soon, at least hopefully, and get our hands on all this new stuff. So hopefully it's not delayed and it comes quicker rather than later. I always hate the end of July, early August, because I got a lot of stuff going on at the start of August. So but yeah, anyways, thank you guys for hanging out. I am super stoked. I will be obviously covering all of this stuff in the coming weeks as they start to put this out and get our hands on the stuff. So very much looking forward to that. Definitely check out the stream yourself from earlier, the Houdini did on the keynote. Watch through all of it if you haven't done so already. And keep an eye out for those Hive videos. I think Alex has got a presentation, and I'm sure there'll be a bunch of other really cool presentations that come out of the Hive. I don't know when those are going up, but I would imagine that those go up before the release, maybe. Hopefully, I don't know. Get our hands on some more stuff, some more information before the actual release, and we get our hands physically on the new update. But anyways, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I will be continuing this week with my um, videos on the unconventional animation. If you guys haven't seen that, I can show a quick little preview of that, maybe. And I guess a newer one that I didn't show last time. I think this was the demo video. This is just the little unconventional animation. This is all running through Cops too. So again, like I talked about with the sneak peek stream, definitely look at how you can use these tools to do things that they're not necessarily meant to be used for, or like that's not their like designed use. Because there's lots of ways that you can do some really cool stuff. This is all, like I said, running off of Cops with no keyframes. This is all just running through there. And then, oh, that's not the good one. I've also got this one, same sort of thing. This is all just running through Cops, all animated through that. Same sort of thing. So I'll cover all of this in that unconventional animation series that I've been uploading on here over the last like week, I believe, week and a half. I don't know, whatever it's been since I uploaded the first one. And then I also did just show one of the other renders that I did because I quite like it. There's this really weird plant. I don't even remember the name. It's like Doll's Eye plant is the name of it. But I remade it in Houdini. This was my render of the Doll's Eye plant. It's a really odd looking plant if you've never seen it before, but it looks basically just like this. So that was a fun little thing that I did, and I'll probably cover that on Patreon as well. So anyways, thanks for jumping in here with me. It's been a fun little stream. I will maybe stream once it comes out. Depends on the day. Honestly, I don't really have a ton of time to stream. But if I have the ability to stream on the day that it comes out, I will definitely jump in and stream and just take a look at some of the new stuff because I quite enjoy taking a look at everything new with you guys. It's a fun little like conversation, and then you guys get to see some cool stuff. You get to see me struggle. And we all get to learn some new stuff, right? So thank you guys for hanging out. You guys have a good night, and we will see you in the next one.